702.
The Big Interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you.
I got my mind set on you goes the George Harrison 80s hit, and that's precisely what would seem to be the case following a new report from the US State Department on South Africa. The Americans say the human rights situation in this country has worsened, and they point to crime, corruption, and political instability. Worse still, this report cites extrajudicial killings and blames recent legislation as a threat to the rights of minorities. The 2024 Country Report on Human Rights for South Africa paints an ugly picture of arbitrary or unlawful killings, arbitrary arrest or detention, and, as I say, the repression of racial minorities. And it's an extraordinary development given the months of engagement with the US by South Africa. From the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, we've invited Crispin Peary, the spokesperson, to join us to speak about this. Crispin, always a pleasure to have you on the show. The US under Trump really has its eyes set on us.
Yeah, it does seem as though there is some level of attention that is being given to South Africa around a number of issues. But what is most concerning is the distortion of facts and the mischaracterization of a number of matters. And I mean, a most classic example in that report, and there's two that I can think of off the bat. The first is the classification of the farmer who allegedly killed two women and subsequently fed them to pigs as an extrajudicial killing. I mean, that boggles the mind. An extrajudicial killing is often something that is done by state institutions and not individuals committing crime against one another. But most importantly, that matters rightly before the courts as we speak. And we would expect that any matter which is before the courts should be given the due respect that the courts will pronounce itself on what the actual facts are. And that's just one incident. The other incidents which SANEF have now also responded to is this idea that journalists are being arrested and harassed by law enforcement agencies. And SANEF have come out, I saw in an interview yesterday, to say that is very far-fetched. Yes, there are very robust debates about how the media reports in this country, and that's a fair game, that's fair debate that we should expect in a democracy.
I mean, did you rub your eyes, sticking with that theme, if you'll allow me, because this is not just from some website or some online publication that lacks credibility. This is an official U.S. institution. In a sense, this really is now, I guess you could call it, an official U.S. government position.
Yes, rubbing my eyes, I think, is really a very cute description. I read that report several times in really, really deep disbelief of what we'd seen. And after many engagements with our Director General and the Minister, we really thought it's important that we respond to address this distortions. I mean, there are really incredulous claims in that report. Even what is most concerning for us is you would recall that the United States has actually pulled out of the UN Human Rights Council. So for them to then assert themselves as the paragon of human rights, given what's also happening in the United States, is also most concerning. But also, we also want to reflect something that we treat the United States with the deference that it deserves. When a South African citizen, Linda Mjeni, the rugby player, was killed, he was an unarmed individual killed by law enforcement agencies. We issued a statement saying we will allow the law enforcement agencies to investigate this and come up with a conclusion. We didn't say it's an extrajudicial killing. And that's what we really expect democratic nations to look at each other like.
Look, Crispin, I'm interested in a conversation with you, not so much to dispel the disinformation, because I think we've been doing this for months on end now. And although a report like this might be red meat for those groups that have been spreading disinformation about South Africa, I think anybody who lives here will know the reality and the truth of what life in South Africa is like. But what I'm interested in is, what does this then tell you about our diplomatic efforts? There was that Oval Office visit by President Ramaphosa. I think last week, in fact, our president spoke to President Trump on the phone. So all these months and the full weight of all our overtures to Washington, this is what the U.S. government position is on us?
I think it's not a reflection of our diplomatic relations, but it's more a reflection of where the U.S. administration is. And if you look at other reports on other countries as well, countries where there have been recent visits amongst U.S. officials, very top officials, they're also taken aback by a characterization of their human rights regime. We are seeing tariffs being imposed on friends and foes alike. So we have to now understand that this is how the United States operates.
So what does that say about America's credibility on the world stage?
Well, I wouldn't want to opine on that, but it does definitely tell us that the lines of communication are not as transparent as they used to be. And this is something that we really have to continuously adjust and recalibrate our foreign policy.
What's our counter narrative for those investors, for example, who may not know the nuance, who may believe something like this and be deterred?
This is precisely why we issue the statements that we do in the manner that we do, robustly and clearing up the air as much as possible to ensure that the information about South Africa, its institutions, its democratic values reach the global audience far and wide so that there isn't a distortion about South Africa's position in human rights, amongst other things.
Appreciate your time. Chris Mpiri is the Department of International Relations and Cooperation spokesperson.
702.
The Big Interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
On to this now. Shot at close range and in cold blood. This was how an e-hailing service driver met his death last night as he dropped off a passenger at Maponya Mall in Soweto. Two others were injured in what's believed to be part of a long-running feud between e-hailing drivers and local taxi operators. According to the police, armed suspects shot an e-hailing driver before setting his car alight, with another vehicle nearby also torched. And then a passerby was hit by a stray bullet. The Gauteng MEC for Roads and Transport, Kedibone Diale-Tlabela, has said this is barbaric, and she joins us now. As always, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having us this morning, Bongani.
This has been ongoing for some time and is surely now at unacceptably high levels. Many would say it's an indication the police are not in control.
The police are busy currently investigating the matter. The briefings that we got this early hours this morning was that they are still working on the matter. They are on site. I will be going there now. I'm just about to leave Pretoria to Joburg. It's really sad, Bongani, you know. It's a difficult one because in meetings you meet different people and what is on the ground is also different. And we are hopeful that the associations themselves will be able to give us answers. One life too many. We continue to lose a lot of lives to taxi conflicts. And when we thought we have it right by calling all public transport operators representatives in one meeting and trying to resolve their issues, more importantly to us, the first thing is to ensure that everybody operates legally. Secondly, is everybody gets to be free. And South Africans and people of Gauteng have the right to choose a mode of transport that they want to use. Of course, yes, and one of the reasons is it's quite difficult. It's a difficult one, I must say.
Does that mean... sorry.
It looks like in meetings as government, we engage with a different set of people. And those that continue with the conflicts or continue killing, it seems that they are not the ones that we're sitting with. But we are meeting also with the association leadership also this morning just to understand what do we do. And we are hopeful that the police will arrest these criminals that have done this.
What is the point of those engagements then if you're saying you're speaking to one set of people and another is the one that engages in these kinds of attacks? And I'm making the point that the police don't appear to be in control. The brazenness of such an attack suggests that the police are not in control. And respectfully, it sounds that even you yourself are a little overwhelmed.
It's an old age matter, Bongani, I must say, quite a difficult one. And that's why we have created different platforms to engage on this matter. One is that there's a crisis on illegal operation by almost all public transport operators, be it taxis, be it e-hailers, be it bus operators. And I must say that from the side of the department, since 2009, there has been a backlog that in the past year, in the past 11 months, we've been trying to characterize and understand where is the backlog and what creates a backlog.
Since 2009?
Since 2009,
It's
Bongani.
2025.
It's 2025.
Is this beyond you?
It's not now. We have put systems in place. We have done the verifications. We are purifying the system.
So why are people being killed?
Now, this is competition. Now, it's out of our control as roads and transport, because what happens on the ground is criminality. This is pure criminals who are masquerading as part of the conflict. How is it a conflict when the other is also providing a different service from what you are providing? The e-hailers are doing door-to-door. The taxi associations are moving from one rank to a particular point.
Let me
and
see.
The people, the current commuters that use e-hailers are different from the ones that use taxi associations.
We understand well the difference between the two services and what they provide, but many people will feel frustrated and they'll say the softy approach towards the taxi industry specifically is what got us here. I mean, it doesn't seem that this government dares to deal with this issue decisively. It looks as if you're scared, MEC.
No, we are not scared, Bongani. I rest assured, be sure, we are not scared.
Aren't you?
And they know, no, I'm not scared of them. We are government.
But we know there are no-go areas in the province. We know there are places where these e-hailers know that if they dare set foot, they will be shot at or there will be some kind of trouble like we saw last night. I mean, find me any person in Gauteng or Soweto today who's going to take an e-hailing taxi to Maponya Mall this morning. It happens. They've sent the message. It's understood. It's received. And it does appear as if you're scared to do anything about it as this government.
No, we're not, Bongani. And we ask people of Gauteng to allow us that space. We have started processes to resolve the matter. They know where we stand. They know that we stand for integration. And we believe that South Africans and Gauteng people that would want to participate in a form of economic activity, they should be allowed to. We don't, as Gauteng people, we don't owe the taxi industry anything.
All right.
And the taxi industry must understand that we are in a democratic country where people have the right to choose. We're really not scared of them. And that's why we believe that we must bring all parties on the table to make sure that we resolve some of the issues that all industries are faced with, but also deal with the challenges of conflict. And there's a platform for that. And we are surprised that they, at that level in Soweto, they decide to do. And the sad part, these people decide to use guns to kill each other.
And that's my point, MEC.
That's why we are saying to police, we are hopeful that this time we'll arrest somebody. And that person will be processed according to our justice system.
All right, MEC for Roads and Transport in Gauteng, Kedibone Diale-Tlabela. It's that word there, surprise, right? They have these engagements, they have these platforms. Something else happens outside of their discussions, and they are surprised. And what's the next plan? To have yet more engagements. And so the cycle repeats, and the cycle repeats, and the cycle repeats.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.